Several teachers are interested in using Microsoft Forms for quizzes and tests and things like that in their classroom to make grading quicker and easier, and also to have to avoid creating classes inside Lightning Grader or some other third-party website. So Forms is part of Office 365. You click on the Forms application here, and it will take you in where you can actually create a new form or create a new quiz. So again, I'm using another teacher's information here so that we can just go in and see some information that's already there. So when you're creating a quiz, one thing that's different between a regular quiz and a form is that on multiple choice questions, you will have a correct answer. So you do want to make sure that you select which answer is correct, and it will be indicated by a check mark there. Notice that as you're building questions, you can insert various types of media. You can include images and video into those questions if you would like. Also, another important thing to keep in mind when creating a quiz or a test is you do need to assign a point value to each question, and you do want to make sure that that question is required. So one neat thing is once you set up a format of question, answer A, B, C, D, etc., 10 points and required, you can then copy that information however many times for that number of questions. So if you have a 10-question quiz, all are going to be 10 points each, all are going to have 4 choices, all are going to be required. You can just go ahead and copy that information and then go in and change each one of the questions and the choices. So what's interesting also about Forms is you'll notice here we're in like the build mode. We can also have short answer questions, and you'll notice here that there's a place for the question, a place for the student to put an answer, and then there's a list of several possible correct answers. So first and last name with the word and, first and last name, no word and, just last names with the word and, etc. So again, this will hopefully catch as many possible variations of a correct answer in short answer as we can. And as we get down to the bottom, again, you'll notice that maybe there's some extra credit questions that are not required. Now that you have created your quiz or test, you now need to deliver it to your students. So you go into your form, you click on share, and by the way, there's no save button. Everything that you're doing is automatically saving when you are in Office 365 online and each of the apps within that umbrella. So I've clicked on share, and I want you to notice that first we can choose who can respond, anyone with a link or only people in my organization. If you select only people in my organization, then that is only letting students with @spartanburg3.org email addresses answer your questions. So a lot of times you'll want to have that setting made there, and then you are going to actually copy this link, and you can then paste that link in your Microsoft Teams or in Edmodo or your Google Classroom. This is an active link that will bring your students in to the view of the test, that if you want to see what they will see, you just click preview and it will show you exactly what your students will see. So to get back to the build side of Microsoft Forms, I click back. So again, share, select who, copy that link, and then paste it to your students in whatever format, whether it be an email, on a learning management system, in a OneNote notebook, you name it. Last but not least, for test security purposes, you may want to add some additional safeguards. So if you click on these little settings buttons, the 3 little dots, you can go to settings, and then again you can modify who can see this, when they can see this, and for how long. So again, we have it selected as a quiz, only people in our organization. It will record the name of the person, and each person will only be able to respond one time. If you are going to let students retake a test or a ticket out the door or something like that, you would want to uncheck that box. You also can, when you're finished and everybody has taken this quiz, you can uncheck where it says set responses. You can set a start date and an end date. So if I want to go ahead and create it, post it, and have students not actually start it until tomorrow, I can click start date, and then I can select which day and exactly which time I want this link to be active, as well as I can select an end date with exactly a day and time for that link to no longer work. If you are, again, worried about cheating or test security or things like that, you can also click here to shuffle questions. So hopefully those settings will help you as well when creating assignments in forms. Once students have completed this quiz, we would then go back to our form and click on responses. The coolest thing about forms is the data. It lets us look down through a quiz and see, first of all, how many people selected each one of the choices and whether or not those folks were correct. Once we get down to these possible answers for those correct answer issues, you can then also go in and see if somebody put something other than what you were expecting, and look at that data as well. Now, you can also view your responses by student, and in that case you would go into review answers. Here you're able to select a student from a list of all of your students. You're able to see how long it took for that student to complete and how many points they earned. Now you're able to go through, and when you find a student who did not score a 100, you can then go to the question that they missed quickly and review whether or not it was one of those that, was kind of a write-in. You'll also notice here that question number 12 says needs review, right? So anytime there's a question like that the teacher has to go in and grade individually for each student, you can just go in and add those points right there. So in this case, since a certain question needs review for all students, we can come to questions. Instead of looking at this by people, we can go down to that last question there. We'll have each response listed here, and then we are able to choose whether or not that is a correct response and award points as needed in this column. It will automatically then put that information in there for that student so that we can then see their grade. So once we have reviewed all of our answers, we now need to post the scores so that the students can see what they made. A lot of times you might want to wait if you have multiple sections of a class and several different classes are taking a quiz or a test in a day. You might want to wait and post those the next day or after all the students have completed it. So once we click post scores, we'll then see whether there's a status here of it's been posted or it's been graded but it hasn't been posted, and so then we can select whether or not we want to post those scores. Once the scores have been posted, then this student would be listed down here with the rest of the students. So this makes it really easy for us to go in and put these grades into the grade book. Again, the best part about Microsoft Forms is this data that helps us know how many are answering this question correctly, how many are answering it incorrectly, so that we can go back and reteach that information before they miss it on a test. If you're interested in using Microsoft Forms for quizzes or for tests, please let me know.